Great. So welcome to our webinar about the National Board Certified Teacher Day, which we're going to be celebrating on February 20th. We're very excited. This is our statewide celebration. And a few things to know, if you're not used to using Zoom, you can go ahead and open your chat box by hovering on the control bar over the chat, clicking on chat, or hovering where it says it might have 3 dots and say more. It gives you the opportunity to open your chat box. When your chat box is open, you have the ability to talk to people individually, or you can talk with people on the side. If you know someone personally, you can send them an individual chat that's private. Please mute yourself if you're not talking, but feel free to grab the mic and ask questions. And your camera is totally optional. If you want to turn that on, you can. I'm going to go ahead and turn my camera on. Actually, there we go. So you guys can see I'm talking from home today. My name is Suzanne Farmer, and I'm a board certified teacher, and I work on a grant that we'll talk about in a minute, but I'm talking to you from my home in Danville tonight. And Holly, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, I'm Holly Bloodworth. I'm an early childhood generalist. I'm the president of the KY NBCT network, and super excited to be thinking about celebrating you all at this event that we're planning. It's going to be so wonderful and so fun and so special. So just get ready to feel recognized, I guess, and honored for this wonderful accomplishment that you have just completed.
No, it brings back a lot of memories. And I didn't mention, I'm also an early childhood generalist, like Holly. But we couldn't be more excited about this large class and how much you all have done to improve for the kids of Kentucky, and really to be brave to try this process when it was in the middle of changing. Says a lot. So we're really excited that we have the 5th largest class of new NBCTs in the country. And you all, every one of you is a big part of that. So super excited. We have a lot to celebrate. So just an overview of the day's events. Excuse me, but first, getting ahead of myself, this event is brought to you with a lot of collaboration from partners. The KYNT3 grant stands for the Kentucky Network to Transform Teaching, and it's a partnership between the Education Professional Standards Board, the Kentucky Department of Education, and as Holly mentioned, she's the president of the KYNBCT network that's an official state affiliate with the National Board for Professional Teaching Standards. And these 3 agencies work together on a grant that's funded by the National Board. Actually, it's funded by the U.S. Department of Education through the National Board. So they fund National Board. National Board gives us funding as one of their state sites. So, but for this event in particular, there's also a lot of special collaboration with the legislation. And we have a strong partnership for this event with the Kentucky State University, who's hosting the reception in the evening, too. So lots of moving parts. Did I forget anybody, Holly?
I was going to say that kind of tells you how special becoming a National Board Certified Teacher is, that all of these different organizations come together to celebrate you. So I think that's pretty special.
Absolutely. So now an overview of the day. We're going to get a little more specific on some of these events, but there's 2 different major venues for the day. One is some that will be at the Capitol, and the other events, this is daughter. And the other events will be at Kentucky State University. And if you're not familiar with Frankfort, it's a small town, and those two venues are close together. I actually drove that strip today, and it maybe took me 10 minutes to get from the Capitol to KSU and to park and everything. So it's not far between the two venues. In the past, some people may have told you that they have had their recognitions. Recently, a lot of those have been in the Capitol Rotunda, but we're too big for the Capitol Rotunda. So last year, we anticipated that we would have a big class, and we tried doing a celebration off-site, and it worked out really well. We've worked out some of the kinks before your group, and there are some real benefits to having it off-site. Not only can we have more people, but it's very hard to hear in the Rotunda, and we have more time to celebrate you appropriately. So at the Capitol, obviously, all of the events are completely optional, but we'd love to have you there for as many events as possible. In the morning, Chairman Carney will recognize the NBCTs that attend the House Education Committee meeting. If we have a lot of people attending that, we'll have some people that have to move to an overflow room. It just depends. And that's in actually the Capitol Annex, which is connected to the Capitol building underground. And then around 1:30 is when we'll start checking in, and we'll have more details on the specifics of where that will happen within the Capitol building. We have to be lined up and organized and waiting before they will call us into the House and Senate chambers for those recognitions. And then those can start as early as 2, but it's where we don't know exactly when that would happen. Then we'll go to Kentucky State University, where we have a leadership opportunity fair, which we'll talk a little bit more about. And then the recognition ceremony, which we can talk you through too. So one of the reasons, I know some of you may have already filled out your RSVP, that there's a lot of questions on the RSVP, and you may not know all those answers yet. It's okay if you guess and provide the information that you have, but if any information changes, it's important that the RSVP is either updated by filling it out again or emailing me at Suzanne Farmer, suzanne.farmer@ky.gov, and my contact information is at the end of the slides again. But the information that's in the RSVP helps us because we have to create slides. You will each have your own slide at the ceremony with your name. We want to make sure that we're recognizing you by the correct name, that we know who's coming and who's not. We would hate for somebody to show up at the ceremony and not have your name projected on a slide, because we'll only be projecting the names of the NBCTs in attendance individually. We'll have a slide with the other NBCTs at the end. It also helps us because we have to submit names to get people through security quicker at the Capitol. We need to keep an accurate head count because we have so many people that are invited that just a little bit of a difference means I might need to make adjustments to the rooms. And making sure we have current email addresses and mailing addresses so that even if you're not coming, we can mail you your citations and your pin. So there's a lot of questions, but they're important. Same for the guests, so that we need to know your guests so that we can keep account for that as well. If you're bringing anyone, you don't need to bring someone if you don't want to. Some things to consider when you communicate with your district. Holly, do you want to cover some of this information?
Sure. So I don't know if you've had an opportunity to talk to your principal yet. I would say the sooner the better. Show them your letter and all of the official things that are going to be happening that day, and ask if you can have a professional day. I mean, this is to be honored in this way is something that doesn't happen very often. So hopefully your principals or building administrators will allow you to have a professional day for this. Some of you may live close enough that you choose only to come like later in the day for the ceremony. Now, all of those things are fine and up to you. You know, the choices are yours.
And you may feel like you've been out of school too much to like miss a day with your students, or you know, if you've had a lot of snow days at that time or something like that, and that, you know, that's a personal choice.
And if your principal decides that a professional day is not something that they're able to do, then you do have personal days that you could use one of those if you choose to. Now, I live in far western Kentucky, so if I'm going to be, I would have to miss school anyway. So, you know, I would want to get there and do as much of it as I could. So that's just going to be up to you to decide. We've had some administrators already asking if they might be able to attend to honor, because they're so proud of their new NBCTs in their buildings. And so you are welcome to invite an administrator. We just need the head count. So make sure that you get them on the list for the RSVP, or have them do that.
Right.
So
and we do have to keep a limit of one guest per NBCT. So if it's more important to you to invite your spouse or your child or your mentor or someone else, then please do that. Don't feel like you have to invite an administrator. But if there's not somebody that you really want to bring otherwise, then you may want to consider bringing them so that they can see how much of an honor this is. Because of our limited space, we can't do more than one guest per person.
And then you received a press template, I believe, when you found out that you certified. So you can use that if you haven't already had something in the newspaper. And then we've got a hashtag that we're going to use, but we want to keep very active on Twitter and just let everyone know what's going on. So those are all things to think about, and hopefully you can get a professional day. And we'll talk about some of the other things that you can do on that day that are really important things too.
One of the opportunities, if you're going to be at the Capitol early enough, would be to schedule some legislative appointments. Something that to consider is that you'll need to schedule those appointments with your legislators earlier in the day. You'll need to schedule them before you attend, of course, but you'll want to, the legislators will be in session in the afternoon, so they won't be available. The House and the Senate are both in session in the afternoon. They have committee meetings in the morning, but not every legislator will have those committee meetings, and even if they have committee meetings, they'll let you know when they would be available to meet with you. Legislators really like meeting their constituents, and all of these legislators are recognizing you with a citation. So we've already matched you using your home address and given them the names. We've already requested the citations, which are being created for all of you. So with your senator and your representative. So they're already honoring you and care enough to do that and to recognize you on the House and Senate floors. So that's, they like to talk to teachers individually that they represent. So if you've never found your legislators, there's a link here. You can find it on the LRC website, but there's a link to find your legislator, and you just type in your home address and it will come up. If you teach, or if you live outside of Kentucky but teach in Kentucky, we have matched your legislators to the school where you teach. So you could always reach out to them and say, I teach in your district, if you live out of state. But if nothing else, thank them for supporting National Board and talk about your experience through the process and how much impact that's had on your instruction and your students. One of the things I know, I'm sure you have heard that a lot of that education is facing a lot of cuts right now in the governor's proposed budget. And there's a lot of bills that would impact heavily the schools. National Board hasn't been cut. So that's something to thank the legislators for, is to continuing to value National Board. There's also a website, kyedpolicy.org, which is a nonpartisan website, and it lists the education bills and budgets and gives you some ideas on how to read them and how to stay informed about what's going on, so that you can then make your own decision about what you want to talk to your legislator about, whether it's the pension or, you know, whatever it is that's important to you, or nothing, if you just want to thank them for recognizing you. And Holly, you're really good at this piece, so I think you'll have some advice on.
Just kind of go in, think about what you want to say before you walk in. Very likely they may ask your opinion about something. Just be honest and open, and try your best to not be combative in any way, but look professional, speak professionally, try to keep an open mind, but don't be afraid to speak your mind. And if it would be great for you to talk a little bit about National Board. We want to keep that stipend in the budget. So you might, and right now it is, so that's great. But one thing that you might do is go to the National Board website, and where would they find the impact brief, Suzanne? Is that on the, under?
I'll show you.
Okay.
Okay.
Because that might be something good to take with you. It helps me feel more secure if I have a piece of paper or something to hand somebody. So I would probably take the impact brief that talks about how students in classrooms of NBCTs, learn more.
Okay, so if you go to can you see my screen?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so when you go to nbpts.org and you go to Vision and Impact,
mm-hmm.
and you click on Research, there's some in a nutshell type information on the left, but what's really handy, there's some statistics here that are really helpful, some recent data, the impact about 1 to 2 months. But what's really helpful here is that you can, if you do view our research brief and you click on download, I'm afraid I'm not sharing. Can you see that, or am I still sharing the other one?
It's coming up.
Is it
Impact
coming up?
brief.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So it's a one-page, two-sided document that has a summary of over a decade's worth of research, and this is something you could print off and hand to them. And it talks about it has these nice graphs at the bottom that board certified teachers are 3 times as likely as non-board certified teachers to engage their students in deeper learning, and that board certified teachers they have 1 to 2 months of extra growth compared to non-board certified teachers each year. Math is a little higher than ELA in those studies in terms of growth, and what's nice is that it also points out that the impact is even greater if you teach students that are high need. And on the back, it lists the studies where that the trend data comes from, some of the studies, and you can see that the second one that's listed includes Kentucky. So we can talk about how that even Kentucky students are included in a part of this data. And that 81% of Americans feel that teachers should be board certified.
And I think that would be a good thing to share with legislators. because they're thinking about their constituents. So if that probably holds up in Kentucky too, that most of their constituents would think that teachers should be board certified.
And right. And one of the things that people don't often realize when you're in Kentucky is how high our rate of free and reduced lunch is compared to other states. So when you look at the impact being even greater if you teach minority or low income students, we have a tremendous amount of low income students in our state. In fact, 71% of our new class of board certified teachers teach in Title I schools, which is like more than double the national average this year. It's a huge percent in poverty. Right. I'm gonna
go back.
Reminding me about that resource, Holly. It's a good connection.
You're welcome. Well, and we're not pressuring anyone to go meet with your legislators. That is also just a very personal decision. An opportunity to let your voice be heard and to advocate for national board. But if that's not your thing, don't feel like you have to do that. I mean, but that would be a great tool for you just to kind of feel more prepared if you do.
Right.
And it's not scary at all. I mean,
no.
And they represent you, so they want to know how you feel about things. So don't be afraid to do it.
And honestly, it's a really good time to do it because it's hard to get the time away from the classroom to actually see people face to face. And I think you'll make more of an impact in person than you will if you call or email. And I think I just want to encourage you to consider it if you have the time, because there are so many decisions that are going to be made this session that will impact your classroom. And I'd rather that you be the voice to influence those legislators than non-teachers. So it's just really important that teachers have a voice in what's going on in their rooms. So.
And if anybody has other questions, feel free. My contact information will be at the end. I would be happy to talk you through any of that about how you might, do that, or talking points or whatever. If you want
your legislative, their emails and their phone numbers are listed on that page when you find them, so you can contact them for an appointment. And Holly could help you draft something or how to ask for that if you questions. Right. So some logistics about the Capitol. When they are in session, it can be hard. There's a lot of people that are there. So it's pretty crowded. It can take a long time to find parking and to check in through security. There is a parking garage, and there are also some open lots close to the Capitol and street parking. So it's just kind of your preference as to where you decide to park. But make sure that you allow time for security check-in. Your names will be submitted ahead of time for the security desk, which will save some time. But it still takes a while to clear through security. And make sure you bring a picture ID. And the House meeting in the morning is in the annex, and then the chambers are in the Capitol itself. The annex is behind the Capitol. They are attached underground. If the weather's not nice and you want to go through the tunnels, you just go down to the basement and you can walk across. But if the weather's nice, it's actually really pretty grounds. So,
Suzanne, I have a question I forgot to ask earlier. The security check-in sheet that they will have, will that be at all of the security check-in points?
Because no, that's a good point. Probably not.
So they need to go into the main one?
Actually, I probably... I wonder, I could give it to the annex and to the main one.
Okay. I mean, you can get into the Capitol at
lots of points.
Two doors, or at least.
but the front door was the one I was going to give it to at the Capitol building.
Okay.
And I didn't think about the annex, but if you were walking in from outside into the annex.
They don't have a check-in there.
They do, but you know what? I don't think you have to have your name on a list. You don't have to have your name on a list at the other either, but I think it just makes things go faster.
Okay.
Sorry. I do need to know the number of guests coming for the gallery passes, because we request gallery passes for them to be able to watch the recognitions in the House and the Senate. We probably won't get enough for every single guest, so we might have to split those, like some in the House and some in the Senate. So if you go to the Education Committee meeting, that's something where you can kind of walk in and out if you don't plan on staying for the whole thing, or if you have an appointment, a legislative appointment during the middle of it. Holly brought up a good point when we were talking earlier, that if you get a legislative appointment, you would want to prioritize that over the committee meeting, because the committee meeting, you will be sitting and watching the committee meeting, which is really interesting. And when you're recognized there, it's just a matter of Chairman Carney will say something about the National Board Certified Teachers and ask you to stand up. And that would be it. Like, you wouldn't be speaking or anything. I mean, it's not going to be a formal citation at that point. If you're there during lunch, there is a cafeteria in the basement of the annex. And I know that KEA does their day of learning. They do that every Tuesday and Thursday, I think during the entire legislative session, because that's when the committee meetings, education committee meetings are. So they will have some tables where they'll be hanging out in the cafeteria, and I'm sure you'll recognize they'll probably have pins that say something like KEA. So if you are there and you don't want to eat alone, or you don't have a buddy with you, I know that KEA has said for members or non-members, anyone at all is welcome to hang out and eat with them, or to talk to them about questions they have around legislation, or how things, like where to find things, or if you're feeling, if you want a buddy or some help, that they would be happy to help with that too. There's a lot of waiting. So even if you have an appointment with a legislator, they're not always able to meet with you when they say, because their schedule's not entirely in their control. And there's a lot of waiting to get recognized on the Capitol floors. In fact, I think this might be even on our next slide. We'll get ready. We have to be ready and lined up, and we want to get ready and lined up so that there'll be other groups there that are being recognized, and to kind of do them in order. So we want to be there early enough that we're not the last group that would be recognized. And we have to be invited into the chambers. So we're not going to be, you don't go in until they say, okay, we're ready for you. They'll read some kind of a formal proclamation, and then the legislators will typically give you a standing ovation. There's an official picture taken on the floor, and then you leave. No one's talking during that. Like, they don't ask us to speak or anything like that. So we're subject to the business of the day. And sometimes that means that they don't invite us in because they have too many things to vote on. Even though they say they're going to, they'll come out and apologize and say, we're in the middle of this debate and we won't get to you for about 4 hours. And we've had that set before, 4 hours. So when that happens, we say, okay, great, goodbye. Thanks for that. And we get the citations no matter what, but sometimes we don't get the official recognition on the floor just because, so it's subject to the schedule. And we'll need to leave the Capitol in order to get to KSU for the official ceremony, probably around 3:30, because there's a leadership fair before the ceremony, and we'd love for you guys to be able to be a part of that. So then at Kentucky State University. All right, if you've not been there, it's not a very big campus. There's a little more than, I think, 1,000 students, so it's smaller than some of our high schools. And there's two entrances. that are off of Main Street. If you're coming from the Capitol, you'll be coming down Main Street, or they might send you down this street here. I forget what this one's called, but probably down Main Street. That's the easiest way. Then this first entrance has a giant archway over it that says Kentucky State University. You can't miss it. It's big and green. If you go in through this way, you'll go down University Drive. There's a security checkpoint, but all you have to do is just say you're there for the National Board Day event, and you just keep driving. And these green circles are where there's parking. We're going to the red building. The issue if you come in this way is that this road in front of buildings 8, which is here, and 9, is a pedestrian road, and it's blocked off. So you cannot drive through here. You can come through here and park. If you don't find parking here, you're going to need to there's a through drive that will take you back around the other way. So you can come this way, it's fine. You can park at any of the spots, unless it's an illegal spot. Like if you're parking in a handicap space, then you don't have a handicap sticker. They will not be ticketing or towing any of you. So you may also want to consider the second entrance. So if you keep driving down Main Street, there's a light here. And the name of the street isn't showing up. I want to say it might be Walnut, but it's the only other entrance. So you come in this way, and you'll turn left on these back streets. This becomes University, and there's lots of parking around this. There's parking all around 10 and all back here in these areas. There's tons of parking back here. And any of these parking lots are close, and you would come in to Building 9 through the back. There's an entrance right here. This is called the Hill Student Center building. And if you come in this way, there's an entrance here on the front. So we'll be on the 4th floor, which is the top floor, and there's an elevator. So it's fully accessible. I forgot to mention, it might be, if it's not, we'll go over it. So you'll be meeting Dr. Pruitt and Peggy Brookings, who's the president and CEO of National Board, and most of these people are going to be wearing suits. So we'll have some official pictures taken. The governor has been invited. It is not confirmed if he is attending. He may send a proxy of someone else. So a lot of these special guests are going to be wearing suits, and you'll have pictures with them. So just consider that you may want to be business attire. But you might want to bring some comfortable shoes and change, especially
right.
Right, especially at the Capitol, because the floors are marble and they can get really slick if you have heels on, and you'll have a lot more standing and waiting at the Capitol. Holly, anything else?
No, I think that it's pretty self-explanatory. You can wear whatever you like, but we suggest just business attire, maybe a little dressier than you usually wear to school. This is a special event, and you're representing teachers. So we want to put our best foot forward. You want to look good in your pictures, and you're meeting Peggy Brookins. I don't know if you guys know. She is the president of National Board. And
a board certified teacher. She's the first president of National Board that's a board certified teacher, and she's current. She has renewed. She's a high school math teacher.
And she's amazing. So
truly amazing.
In for a treat and kind of an opportunity of a lifetime, because, the president of a national board doesn't come to Kentucky very often, let's just say.
So I'd say it's been several years, and she didn't get to meet with very many teachers last time. She's never been to this ceremony before. So some other things to consider. We've created a hashtag. We haven't started tweeting about it yet, but hashtag KYNBCT Day. So once you start, you may want to start talking about how excited you are to be coming to KYNBCT Day. You can use that hashtag. National Board has a hashtag that is used all the time across the nation, NBCT Strong. So you probably already know that from the press information when you certified. And mention National Board. We also have other hashtags that, or other organizations that'll be there, like the KYNBCT Network has a Twitter handle, KYNT3 has a Twitter handle. You can mention Peggy Brookings directly, you can mention the commissioner, and people that are going to be there, maybe even your legislators, and thank your legislators and tag your legislators. You can tag, I know that the House Democrats and House Republicans and Senate Republicans and Senate Democrats, each of those have their own Twitter handle. So you can even thank all of them for recognizing you when you're in those chambers. We will also, if you're not familiar with Twitter and all of this sounds foreign, at the Leadership Opportunity Fair, there will be a Twitter station where we'll help you to learn how to tweet and create a Twitter account. Also, Holly, I know you've been busy inviting people to the Leadership Opportunity Fair. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. Well, this is something that is new this year, and we are really excited about it because a lot of times, once you become a National Board Certified Teacher, that's a big accomplishment. And you're always thinking then, well, I've got this, what's next? So we wanted to have this fair to show you some of the things that might be your next. So we've invited different groups like Hope Street and the NBCT network, KEA, just all the different groups like teacher leadership types of opportunities. We want them to all have tables there where you can get information and start thinking about what is your next. So that's going to be from 4 to 5. Peggy will also be in attendance for that. So you'll have a chance to maybe meet her and get a little candid kind of picture. And that's where you'll get checked in and those kinds of things too. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Citations will be there too. Mm-hmm. So we're going to give those out at the ceremony because last year we gave them out to people at the Capitol. And then we got our official picture back from the chambers. Everybody's holding these big manila envelopes in their picture. So we thought we'd just wait and you don't have to worry about it. It won't be in all the pictures. You can, we'll just keep it for you until you get to KSU. And if you're not able to come, it'll be mailed to you. Speaking of photo ops, I know Holly mentioned that you can get your picture taken with Peggy. We were thinking, a lot of people may want to have candidates with her. And we're going to make sure that she's at the at the Leadership Opportunity Fair. She really loves to meet and talk with teachers about their experiences and is happy to take pictures with anybody. She's really a teacher and likes meeting other teachers. So we will also have, we haven't figured out the exact logistics of this yet, but the plan is that it'll be very much like a graduation ceremony. So we'll project your name, your certificate area, and the district in which you work. And Jimmy Adams will call your name. He's the director of the Standards Board of EPSB. You'll walk across the stage, and then off of the stage, Holly will present you with a pin, and there'll be somebody to take a quick picture of you with Peggy and the commissioner is the plan. And that way we won't have to slow down for a lot of pictures on the stage and can recognize each person on the stage. We'll have an official class picture taken after the ceremony on the staircase right next to the ballroom where the event is at. And there's also, as I mentioned, there'll be some official pictures taken by the legislative photographer within the chambers. So that's some more information that can be like those pictures and that information can be emailed to you also afterward if we have all of your contact information. Do you guys have any questions of things we haven't covered? Or Holly, can you think of anything we've forgotten? Or Jocelyn, feel free to chime in if you've got questions or things you're thinking of too. You're going to be helping us out.
So just, if you have a question, you can grab the mic, just unmute and ask the question. Or if you don't want to do that, you can put it in the chat box. So how many guests can attend with us? It's one.
Yeah, one. I wish I could do more, but we don't have the capacity.
It's a big class, and it's a ballroom, but it doesn't hold as many as you would think. So
right,
you have to limit it to one.
We have our contact information here too, and I'm going to feel free to keep chiming in with questions if you have them. But we would love to do more guests, but we won't all fit. It's a good problem to have. But
and of course, if you think of questions afterward, feel free to email me. I'll be happy to try to take care of that for you. And if I don't know the answer, I'll contact Suzanne.
And I'll be sending more information closer to the event as reminders and with a little more detail, especially for those that are planning on attending the events. If we have inclement weather, I forgot to mention, there have been years where we have had to postpone and reschedule the ceremony because of bad weather. So fingers crossed, we do not have a backup date scheduled at this point. We're hoping we don't need to, but we'll cross that bridge if we need to, and reschedule and let you all know through email. Oh, another thing that I forgot to mention, one more thing before we stop recording, is that we are, I'm going to set up a page on the KYNT3 website that will have all of the information about the event, including this recording posted on that page. But if there's anything important that needs to be sent out, I'll just send it to you all via email. But we'll keep those updates. I'll send the link to that page with this recording.
We sure are excited to greet you in person,
yes,
and to celebrate you and your wonderful accomplishment. So keep looking for that information, and we will keep you as informed as possible. And don't be afraid to ask a question. Just email, and we'll be happy to try to get you the answer.
And super excited, and congratulations again. I'm going to stop recording.
So thank you all for hopping on here tonight. We will be in contact with you, and this will be available for anyone that didn't get to see it.